Time for a love potion, a little sweet and spice. Throw it all in a cauldron, mix it up real nice. Fire in my eyes, stir counterclockwise. I dream of you all night. Feel with the emotion, follow the signs. With this love potion, you will be all mine. I'm pulling you closer to me. You're finding it harder to breathe. The magic is taking over your mind entirely. I'm the only one that you see. I got what you want, what you need. Before you know it, you are falling deep in love with me. Little sweet spice. Made a love potion for you.
I remembered to set it to switch over this time. Woohoo! So everybody may notice I'm a little shiny. I just, between the last break sprint and this break sprint, went to my birthday party because my cousin is visiting from Michigan, and so all the kids were there and stuff, and so I played with them a little bit, and there was a piñata to exist outside. Also, recently just figured out that I saw a video from a pharmacist, and then I was like, is this true? And so I did my own research, and apparently specific SSRI medication can affect your body's ability to regulate temperature. So, because the video was a general response or warning to make sure that you stay very hydrated, and look up if your specific SSRI could give you a lower heat tolerance level or higher heat intolerance level. And let me tell you, migraines can already affect my body's ability to self-regulate temperature. So I was like, I don't, why? Why also this? So I'm like, I don't know if that's part of it, but that would explain why me and the summer heat no longer get along. We used to be buddies. Now we're not.
I started running really, really hot when I was pregnant with my second kiddo, and I got pregnant in Hawaii, which is kind of hot there already. And I came back to the mainland right before I gave birth, because we were supposed to PCS the month I was giving birth. So I came back early during winter, and I was loving it. But after he was born, my heat temperature, I still overheat. And my doctor was like, oh, well, sometimes it takes a year for hormones to regulate after birth. So after a year, I'm still hot all the time. And she's like, well, sometimes it takes 2 years. And after the second year, I was like, I'm still hot all the time. And we did a bunch of tests, and nothing showed up. And I still run hot to this day. So.
Yeah, sometimes they fix themselves, and then sometimes it's a permanent change. So.
And he runs hot, even in wintertime, he'll run around with just shorts on, no pants. I mean, not pants, no shirt, no socks, and he's not hot or cold. I mean, yeah. He runs hot. It's really weird.
That's pretty common with people with high levels of testosterone. That's where the stereotype comes. And it's actually I too used to make fun of people who wore hoodies and sweaters and stuff and then shorts. But apparently that's actually one of the best ways to regulate your heat in the winter, because our calves act as essentially a ventilation system. So that's the easiest way to get rid of excess heat. So while keeping your core warm. And I was like, mini skirts in winter are not nonsensical. What?
Oh, that's funny.
It doesn't work for everybody. I would still definitely freeze.
Yeah, I'll pass the option of mini skirts on to my kiddo and see what he says.
I'm going to say hi to everybody in chat. Turning my volume down. I will have it fixed before October, I promise. In the chat, hello everyone. CB's on a plane that's literally on the runway, so she can't hang. But well, thanks for stopping in. Good luck flying back. Volume back up. Hello, hello. We just got home from a friend's house. The pool was fun. It was so hot out there.
Yeah.
I wanted to go in the pool, but I didn't want to deal with the children in the pool. So, hi, Lena. Good evening. Oh, Stacy will probably be out of it because it's dinner time. That's fair. I'm just out of it always. It's my new permanent state of being, begrudgingly. Stacy's always cold. I don't want to hope for menopause just so I don't freeze, but it probably won't. Look, I'm with you, Stacy. I am always, it is forever one of my biggest things where I'm like, I would just like early menopause. I'm done having my children. There's no reason for me not to have menopause. I have an aunt who, when she heard me say that, she was like, no, you don't understand. You don't like want to deal with that. And I was like, oh, do tell me these, like, I already knew what I was setting her up for, but I'm like, do tell me the symptoms. And she's like, hot and cold flashes. I'm like, migraine symptom that I get. And basically every symptom that she listed of menopause, I already deal with that shit because of migraines. So I'm like, I really see no downside, especially since my mom had chronic migraines until menopause, and now she gets maybe 1 or 2 a year. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
I don't see a downside.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Alice said, I am always hot too. So
Yeah.
my weight fluctuates at my smallest. I'm always freezing. That's fair. See, I used to freeze like all the time, like 90-degree weather didn't matter. I would be in a hoodie. My son has inherited this apparently because that boy was wearing a hoodie and black pants all day today. But now I get hot.
The only time I was freezing was after I came home from a year being out in the desert.
That's understandable. The like drastic change in temperature. When I got home, sorry, I'm going back to the birthday party. After, like, I got home with 20 minutes to spare before the stream goes up, and like several people were like, Sam, you didn't send me links for things. And I was like, oh shit, because the break streams are not like officially listed places, I forget because those are like still semi-newish. So I was like, oh, I gotta send those. And so I get here, but I needed, because it is far too hot in this garage den for my dogs, since my air conditioner now only blows hot air.
Oh no.
So rude.
That's good.
I stole the fan from my bedroom, which I have to take back into my bedroom when I'm done streaming, because without it, my husband will not be able to sleep. He needs circulating air. So I was like, children, you have to babysit the dogs. Normally, it's not an issue for them to babysit the dogs. However, for their birthdays this year, my oldest wanted an upgraded computer, right? Because for their, like, we decided when they're like hit 10 and stuff, we would buy them their own like desktop. But we got like a mini, little mini tower, and it's like, if you take care of that for at least a year or two, then you can ask for an upgraded one for your birthday or something. So my oldest did, and he has taken very good care of his old computer. Well, my middle's computer died. Not his fault, really. It was always, we don't know why. We got it from literally the same brand. So the same brand, same model and everything as our oldest, and it's just always malfunctioned since we got it. We even like sent it back, got a replacement, still malfunctioned. We were like, maybe our oldest was just blessed with the only like really good working one. So we talked to the children and we got our oldest his birthday present early so his old computer could just go to his brother, and they were all down with that. And then for our middle's birthday, he was like, I want a VR headset, which is something he's actually been saving up for years. He got like 2/3 of the way there. So when we got him the VR headset for his birthday, he then got to put all that money into his checking. And he's like, he's like, Mom, I'm rich. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, oh, you precious bean. And I'm like, you
pay rent.
I was just like, you could look at VR games for the new thing that we just got you. But he has discovered you can hook the VR headset up to the computer and play some Steam games on it. So since his brother has a room with much more open space than mine and my husband's because of the way that it's set up, he likes to use his brother's computer. But his brother's like, but it's my computer and it's almost as good as dad's computer.
Oh.
So now they both want to play the oldest computer. And my youngest, she just likes chilling in her room. She's just like, it's my room. That's where I want to be. And I'm like, I cannot blame you. So they absolutely refuse to decide who would babysit the dog. So I'm like, you are all going in 2-hour shifts. I feel this is the fairest since I will be streaming all night. And it's not really their fault I will be streaming all night. But they are the family dogs. Therefore, everyone must pitch in. So
yeah, I understand that.
So I was like dealing with that, and then I'm like running in here, and I'm like trying to get everything set up. I'm like, oh, I've got 10 minutes.
And it's hot.
Very much so. You guys are going to see me like water myself. I never wore shorts no matter how hot it was as a teen and young adult due to body issues and society standards. I'm sorry. Fuck society standards. Heyo and welcome. I have always been a tank top girly, but I have always been a tank top girly in part because I have broad shoulders, and when you have broad shoulders, you also tend to have a slightly broader rib cage because like your shoulders and your ribs try to match themselves up. And like in general and on average, you know. So women's clothes often are not tailored to ones with broad shoulders and wide ribs, especially if you have these and you don't also have a rack. They're all like, no, that's not possible. You don't need like all that. So like I would try to wear t-shirts and stuff and then they would just rub right here. I hated it. So I have always been a member of Tank Top Nation. Jeans were always my go-to though. So like tank top and jeans were like I was a cartoon character.
Yeah, I don't
AORP.
I don't think I really had any type of style, but I like just t-shirt and sweatpants. So
that's fair. They are not this. I agree with Sam.
I mean, I'm a bit bigger now than I was when I was in the military, but my shoulders actually slope quite a bit. And when I joined the military, and they measure you for your Class A's, that's your dress uniform, and they told me I had to get shoulder pads to wear because my shoulders sloped so much that it was gaping. It's like,
excuse me. It's like bodies are all different. And not uniform or something.
Yeah. I was the only one they told that to, but I think they said something about if I had more boobs or something, it probably would have worked out better. But I was like, well, I got what I got.
It's like, well, I don't know what you want me to do about it.
I remember thinking that too in my head, but I'd never really said much. I didn't talk much at that time in my life.
Yeah, because they think like if you have broad shoulders, then you are also very large in the front. And it's like, this is not always true. And I actually know quite a few people who are large in the front but have like narrow shoulders. So I'm like, your shoulder and your chest size are not actually connected.
No correlation.
They do not affect each other. Alice said in high school, I was the girly who was size conscious, so tank tops and jackets. I like tank tops and jeans or t-shirts and jammy pants.
Yeah. I didn't wear shorts for a long time, but that's mostly because my mom would not let me shave.
Aw.
I was like 17 before I started shaving.
All of my children have the option to shave, and none of my children want to, and I'm okay with that. I do, however, get questioned and judged for shaving my legs, and I'm like, excuse you, I like the smooth feeling. Also, I've like done it for so long that when it starts growing in, it's itchy and it feels weird, and so I'm like, no, I'll just stick with what I do. Thank you. Stop asking questions and judging me. My own, I grew them. They're not allowed to judge these decisions. But how is everybody's storyteller hearth been going? I haven't made any progress since last night because I was doing family things, but I have. For those who weren't here during the first break, I've finished 2 of my 4 goals. I finished beta reading 2 sections and filled out the questionnaires for them. And now I'm going to, for the rest of the night, I'm going to organize critique notes and then go through the short story and like highlight and color code and make a note somewhere of what my color coding means.
That's important.
You're
like, what did I do here? I've done that before. I've color coded stuff. I'm like, what was I doing?
That, or because I have brain fog, my color coding, like the colors will change halfway through, and so I'll be like, yes, yellow means that I need to like expand on it. Blue means that I gotta like, it's just like wording issue. Purple, I'm expanding on the section, and then I'm like, wait a sec, hold on, was it yellow expand? Like, what have I done? Alice has big legs, like it's called runner's ankles, so thick, so I always wore jeans or sweatpants. I had the opposite. I had chicken legs. I used to tease one of my sisters because she had very thin legs, but a really big butt, and so I would call her a chicken, which is not nice, and we should not say these things about our siblings. However, I was a child, so. Monster has asked me to get her a razor. I never really shaved in the traditional sense, so I had been hoping she wouldn't ask to shave. I still need to get her a razor. Alice said, I want to work on some logos or editing stuff with Canva, so Canva worked today. Because my nephew just got a giant pack of Legos, I thought you were like, I want to work on some Legos, and I was like,
what? I said Legos too at first too. I wonder if it's because it was followed by the word, not the next word, but the word afterwards, editing. And if I was just like my brain jumped, so it was Legos instead of logos.
Could be. I am dyslexic, so I could have pulled that E from the editing.
And I'm not dyslexic, but I do tend my eyes jump around.
Yeah, ADHD and dyslexia, in my opinion, are cousins. A lot of the symptoms overlap, and also, it's also funny because sometimes the end result also overlaps, but for very different reasons.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, it's just brains are fascinating, and I love discussing how they work. Sam, if I had Legos, that would be the work of today. I cannot loan you my nephew's Legos, unfortunately, but it was a truck set.
My goal was to try to get the show outlines done for the conference, and I've gotten 1 done.
So you have 5 more?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The one, and I'm almost done with this next one. And when I finish it, the next one after that should be easy because this is a Friday night happy hour. And so all of the stuff that's in the Friday night is the same for the Saturday night happy hour. I'm only just switching out the guest speakers who are coming on to talk. But everything else stays the same. So it'll be easier.
Nice. Yeah, because you basically, you do the one and then you just copy your own homework and edit it slightly.
Yeah. The difference for this year is that we have 2 sponsors. And so, and part of that is, first mentioning them. And then they also have ad spots. So I was like, okay, how do I integrate this in here? And that took me a while trying to figure it out. And then, the first one was the opening session. So it was the first time I'm talking about our sponsors, which now that I'm working on the Friday night happy hour, which comes after the opening session, it's different language, right? So it's not like I'm not introducing them now. We're just mentioning them. But so that I will also be able to just take and copy over to the other ones as well.
Nice. Can I ask who your sponsors are, or is it hush hush until the event?
Oh, yeah, no, it's not a hush hush. So the first one is WTC Creatives, which is a company ran by Rachel Adams, who's an author tuber, and her husband. And they do manage web design services for authors and indie authors and creatives. So I didn't even know when we start talking to them, to
Mhm.
they actually approached us. But both Devin and Jared Kaufman, they're my two co-chairs. They both have their websites designed by them. So I was like, oh, okay. And then the second one is Later Press, which is a platform where you can directly sell your books. There's no platform fees, and they just added a subscription model. And they're still kind of a small company. They've been around for a couple of years, but they're they're there to help the indie authors sell their books. So
You said it's WTC
creatives.
Creatives. I looked up Rachel Adams because I was like, that name sounds familiar, and I got the actress, and I was like, that's why it sounds familiar, but that's not who I'm looking for. And then who's your second sponsor?
Later Press, the one that has a subscription platform, or it's a platform you can do direct sales. They just added subscription to their platform. So, and there's no, you don't pay them any fees for listing your books and selling your books through there. Trying to, I actually have been wanting to get onto Later Press because I started off on Ream to do subscription, but not that I don't write serial fiction, but I want to do subscription, like early access to stuff and book boxes and things like that. And I just have kind of gone away from that company. And so I was kind of looking like what else is out there. And I was thinking about Later Press, and Devin is on there. And she mentioned that one as a company that we should approach for sponsorship. And we have a sponsorship coordinator. So I had passed on the information to our sponsorship coordinator. And he's actually done a lot with the company as well. So I don't know as much about it, but I've been wanting to get on there.
That's really cool. I have made note of them so that I may also spy upon them, because I like gathering resources and then sharing them with people. Especially for indie authors. Not that I have it, okay, I have a little bit of a bias, but also just because they're the resources for those who want to do trad pub, there are like already a lot of resources and stuff, and essentially once they get to the querying process, it's like all about getting an agent, and then they kind of help take care of you and the publishing company from that point. But indie authors were kind of like more swimming out here. And when I first published my book, there was I don't even remember the name of the program. That Create Space was the website, and you could use that to publish a physical book through Amazon, and that was almost it. Essentially, you could set up an ebook and sell it through anywhere else. But now there's like so many different like resources and avenues and venues, and I'm also glad to see like things pop up that are like alternatives to like Amazon and other things, which no shade to any author who publishes through Amazon.
Yeah.
Like get your money, get your bag. We all pay tithes to the devil in one way or another. But it's just nice to have other options and stuff too, especially if you can publish both places. Why not do so?
Yeah. And I did look at Later Press just to make sure I was saying the right thing. But yeah, they charge no fee. So you can sell your book directly and they don't take a fee from when you're selling your book. So you get you probably have to pay the credit card processing fees, but you have to do that even if you're selling anything online with credit cards.
Pretty normal.
Yeah. So, right now I'm like set up on PayHip. PayHip is a platform that lets people sell direct almost anything. But Later Press is set up for indie authors and books. So the search, they're still building their system, they're still growing as a company. As their search function works better, you'll be able to organically find traffic to your book on a platform that's all books. So as long as they continue to grow as a company, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, as long as they like keep growing and improving.
Yeah,
we love a startup with potential.
Yeah.
And you said something about you don't write serially. So is Later Press like set up for writers who write serially?
They just added that feature. Like I said, they're still building a lot of stuff in. And so they just added the feature to write if you want to be a serial writer. or you could just do a subscription. So you could set, I think, if I remember correctly how they're doing this, your subscription can be set up however you want, but it looks like it's a so flexible payment options means you can charge readers a one-time or per chapter fee for your book, or a subscription to get everything you publish. So you can like choose to what it is you release. You could do chapter by chapter, or you could do like book by book if you've got like a big backlist. So yeah.
Hello and welcome, Amanda Lauren. We
Hello.
are glad that you found our little event here. This
Welcome.
is currently a break stream, so we are taking an hour, about another 30-ish minute, 25 to 30 minutes, and then we will go to the next stream, which if you are set in the description is a link to the playlist, and if you set up the playlist, it'll just take you to each stream. Hey, yo, welcome. Long time no see. I have a project that I am considering. It was going to be a multiple book series, but then I was thinking about it, and I think that the story would actually go better if I made it like a serial like chapter release. So I'm like, thinking about doing that instead. But because I am the way I am, this means that I have to write the full thing, get it critiqued, baited, and then get an editor, and then I will start releasing chapter by chapter, which I don't think everybody needs to do that. That's just how I am.
I was using it on Ream. Like I said, I've just kind of got, because it's just not where I want to be right now with Ream. But I liked what they had, and I don't think that Later Press has this yet. But when you put the chapters up, they can leave like comments on it, and you can leave comments on your own story. Like, what did you think about this? What this character just chose to do, or whatever. And then people will leave answers to your comments. That's on Ream. I don't know if Later Press has that same thing because I've not been on there yet. I'm going to assume that since they just opened their subscription platform services, that they don't have it all built in there yet. That's just my thought, but I don't know.
That would be really fun, though.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a great way to get interactive with the readers.
Yeah, it reminds me of back in when I posted fan fiction and people would leave comments in the chapters and then I could respond to them. That was really fun. So I would absolutely love being able to do that again.
But I had thought about using it as like beta reading. Like I would put it up there. Here's my first draft. It's not complete, and see what people would say. I got a few comments, but I didn't really advertise it too much, so I didn't get a lot of people in there. And then I kind of went away from it. So
it happens. That's like I have an account on, I think it's called Simplicity. It's a writing website. You get paid, like you got to apply to join the website. And then after you get accepted, you can post your stories and stuff for free. And then if people read them, and you accumulate views, you get paid for those views and stuff. And I'm always like, I need to advertise this more, and then I just always forget. I'm just in such a habit of being like, go to my website to read all my things, but I have all my things posted on the website and Simplicity now.
So I know that with some of those things, especially because it's like Wattpad or some of these other ones that are open where people can go and just read other people's stuff. So AI has been pulling a lot of stuff from those without getting permission. And then I just saw a YouTube video of someone who was talking about an author who was taking they were taking stories from people from Reddit, from Wattpad, from everything, and republishing them under their own name.
I saw the thumbnail for that video. I wanted to look at it because I was like,
yeah, it was crazy. And they were taking from small people who didn't publish a whole lot and in different places. So I guess they were hoping they were going to get caught, which for a couple of years they didn't get caught. And by their sales rank, you could see they've been making money off of this. And that was even their stories.
People be shady.
I like it better if it's behind a paywall, like it would be on Ream or subscription. You can put some of it out there for free if you want, but I would rather put my stuff behind a paywall, and so someone doesn't scrape it.
My goal is to have 5 samples of my writing, like just that are completely free to read and easy to access for a couple reasons. One first and foremost is because I knew it was going to take me a really long time to publish, and I wanted, because I talk about writing, I give some advice on writing and stuff, and I wanted people to kind of be able to go read my stuff and be like, oh, she's not talking out of her ass. She actually like knows and applies a lot of what she says to her writing, right? Like nobody's perfect, no matter, like you can always give really good advice and then like still not be perfect at following it every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wanted people to be able to do that. Two, I'm at some point I'm going to publish books, and I want people to already have confidence that I am a good investment as a writer. So if they like my short stories and stuff, then they might be like, oh yeah, I like Sam's writing style. I know that like if nothing else, I'll enjoy reading it at least a little bit and stuff. So that's part of why I do it. And right now, I also want to write like a plethora of genres, and that I don't understand where the writing advice came from or why it's so prevalent, where people are like, no, you should only write one genre under your like pen name, and if you write a different genre you should get a different pen name. Because I know of so many authors who write under multiple genres. I think it's a really old piece of advice, because like Sherilyn Kenyon would write. So here's what has confused me. Like Sherilyn Kenyon would write like contemporary romance, with like some action and stuff, paranormal. There's like a lot of magic, a lot of like there's time travel in some of them and stuff. And she would write those ones under the name Sherilyn Kenyon, and then her Lords of Avalon series, which has the like an identical vibe and everything. They're even like at some point Dark Hunters and Lords of Avalon are interconnected, but publishing made her publish that under Kinley McGregor. And it's like, but they're both romance and they're both like fantasy, and they've got like time travel and stuff. And so I'm like, that's a little weird, and made me do a little bit more work to find more novels by them that I enjoy. And I also like her sci-fi stuff. And so, with the exception that if you choose to write in different age categories, I do think you should vary your pen name up at least a little bit, because, well, it's fine for the adults to find your middle grade. Oh no, that it's necessarily good for the middle graders to find your adult novels.
Yeah. As a DL Tillery, she writes horror and dark fantasy, but she also writes kids' books, and so she has two different pen names.
Yeah. And I had a point with the different genres before I went on that side tangent. I'm sorry. So I was saying, so I want to like post a like different genres of my like short stories and stuff. So like if somebody reads like my contemporary ghost story and they're like, oh, well, I kind of like that, but that's not like my vibe. But then like they read my contemporary, my little sapphic short that I was working on last week. That's like, it's very sweet, romantic, just like a contemporary fantasy. That like very very different vibe from my other short stories and stuff. Then they can be like, oh, okay, so I like that instead. And so then I can also like compare my novels, like, hey, if you liked this short story, then you may also enjoy this novel.
I could say I don't know if I represent anywhere close to the average reader, but like I found an author I really really loved last week. I read her entire series, and then I saw like at the end of her books, right, she had like all these other series that she had written. So I went to the next series, and it was contemporary fantasy. And I'm like, well, I don't like contemporary fantasy. I like it when an epic fantasy setting. So I went on to the next series and read about it. It was also contemporary fantasy, and then I gave up at that point. And she had several more series after that, and I've moved on to another author since then. So if she had somehow separated to say, okay, this is fantasy, or this is like epic fantasy, and this is the contemporary fantasy, if she had even organized it in her backlist like that somehow, I might have not given up because I was just ready to move on to the next book at that point. And I'd already read like 6 different synopses and I was like, okay, I'm done. So
that is where having a good website that is well organized would have done wonders.
yeah, but this is at the back of the book, so I would not have clicked on the website most likely. I was looking at what she had. Now, if she only had a website in the back of her book, I'd go to the website. But she had all of her series listed.
Yeah, but depending on if she was indie or trad, that's outside of her control.
Yeah, she's indie.
Well, then that is within her control. So
yeah. And I remember thinking, I was like, wow, that series was so good. And I don't know why it hasn't got the, it should have more reviews. It should have more readers. It should have so much more. But I was like, well, if people are reading her contemporary fantasy, they may not even get to this fantasy because it's different from what she's writing. And I don't know if the rest of what she has is contemporary now because I didn't go further down the list. But yeah.
It all depends. Authors with like huge backlists, like Sherilyn Kenyon's website. Oh my gosh. But her website, in my opinion, is well organized because it's got like this giant drop menu. And then like she has all of her series listed like separately. Even like the sub-series have their own tabs and whatnot. And I think she also has a search bar, so you could like search by genre on the site. So
I bet that's helpful.
Thank you. I write under way too many genres, but I'm working on it. Speculative fiction. Do you know what I mean?
And, I have a fantasy series, which I don't really promote anymore. And I'm in the fantasy romance now is what I'm writing. And I would never go under a different pen name. But because I'm not writing fantasy anymore, and I've kind of polled my audience, and I've done different other things that were like kind of polling without them really knowing this what I was doing. And I can see that they really don't cross over too much. Some of the fantasy will try some of the fantasy romance, but most of my fantasy romance readers, they do not read my fantasy at all.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
I am a reader who will read just about anything, even if I don't like the... Well, okay, so here's the thing. If I'm picking out my books, then I kind of like just look for whatever strikes my fancy in that moment. Like, I will pick up your book if I think the title is cool and I know absolutely nothing else about it. Or if like the cover, and I just look at the cover and I'm like, ooh, that looks cool. I won't even read the summary sometimes. Like I started reading this one book, right? And like as I'm listening to it and I'm like doing my dishes, I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, this feels very like, I thought it was like this YA sci-fi romance or whatever, but I'm like, man, this feels very like suspense thrillery. And I'm like, is he an alien? I think he's an alien. And then I stop at around chapter 4. Now, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, the back of the book will never have information beyond chapter 3. Or like, I use chapter 3 as like a rough estimate, but like there is a point in your story where you should have no more information in the summary. And then I look at the back of the book and I read the summary and it's all like, yeah, they're aliens. Like, essentially, it's like this girl just moved here and now she's dealing with her neighbors who turn out to be aliens. And I'm all like, 1, damn, I'm good. 2, damn, I'm glad I didn't read the summary because I enjoyed the feeling of finding that out as I went. So like, nice. Your title, your cover, great marketing tools for me. Again, I had an actual point before I went on that side tangent.
It's okay.
What were we discussing?
Well, we were just discussing writing different genres and the crossover of
romance and fantasy. So yeah, romance, fantasy, and fantasy. So I'm a person who, especially if like one of my friends is like, oh hey, I liked this book, I'll read the book no matter like what genre or anything it is. However, there is like a lot of readers, like they like what they like and that's all they want. They just want that over and over and over and over again. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. I will, like, Webtoons releases new webtoons in batches based on like troops and genres. So I will like start reading 6 or 7 webtoons, all with the same premise. But I'm fine with that because I like to see how it's going to be executed 6 or 7 different ways.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it is really interesting to see the like kind of stark difference in groups that a lot of readers can fall into, because like you said, like the romantasy readers don't typically go into like the fantasy genre by itself. So
you know, it's funny. When I was that author that I liked from last week, and I read that her next ones were contemporary fantasy, I moved on to another writer, sorry, and I'm on the 3rd book in her series right now, and she writes contemporary fantasy, and I'm reading it. But it's like because I fell in love with this author for the type of fantasy romances she was writing that I didn't want to go outside of that.
You're like, this is our box. This is what you promised me. I don't want to. This was what we had was special.
Yeah.
I get that. There is an author that I read one of his books and I could not stand the writing style. I was like, my God, something about this style just, I felt very preached at. I felt like every time the book wanted to make a point, it was like, okay, but do you understand the point? Because this is the point and we need to make this point. And I'm like, I understand, leave me the fuck alone. And like, just all the things I enjoy about books, this book didn't do in ways I enjoyed. So I was like, man, fuck this book. But then I read another book by them in like a completely different genre. And I was like, you exemplify everything I enjoy about this. Are you the same man? I have doubts.
Oh, that author that stole other people's stories and wrote them. Some of the readers that were leaving reviews, I just read this story by her over here, and this one sounds like a totally different author. Is this AI? But it was just her stealing other people's stories. So, but yeah. But it's funny how we can pick up on those things.
Yes. I mean, just for clarity, it was the same man. There was nothing suspicious about it.
Yeah, no.
There were tells in the narrative voice that it's like, it was just like, because as an author, he was so skilled in changing his writing style for the genres. I was like, I love you here and I hate you there. I'm catching up on chat. Amanda said, I'm the same way. I will absolutely read based on title and cover. I especially love the oil painting covers. Those always are so interesting. Oh, those remind me of all of the period and historical books my mom really loves. Lena said, I once read a book without reading the back, and I'm glad I did since the back heavily hinted at the plot twist. No. What are y'all's preferred POV to write? Masha, I'll let you go first.
3rd person, past tense, always. And I know that fantasy romance started off, the epic fantasy romance started off with 3rd person, past tense, but the PNR is 1st person, present tense. And now that's kind of bleeding over into the epic romantasy, where people are now readers are wanting that in 1st person, present tense. And I'm like, I don't write that. So...
I most enjoy writing 3rd person past tense. I will probably almost never write in present tense unless it is for a challenge, because it messes with my dyslexia so hard. Like reading it, if it's like an audiobook and stuff, the moment like it just takes me a minute or two and then like my brain kind of focuses and stuff, but writing it is a whole other ball game.
Yeah.
And but while 3rd person is my favorite POV there, I also have greatly enjoyed doing 1st person on occasion. I used to write what I called character blogs. Those were fun. Those are some of my favorite things to do.
I was going to say, I'm doing Fated Adventures, which I haven't described it here, but I've done it in some of the past streams. But Fated Adventures was something I offer as part of my Kickstarter. It was part of my highest tier, and then people could add it for $50. And basically, it's 6 months of getting a packet in the mail that has the story story parts. There's letters from the characters. There's letters from people in the academy, and it's all an epic fantasy setting, but it's a magical academy that they're at. And there's a mystery, and there's also romance. And part of it's choose your own adventure because they can choose one of 4 characters to follow, and they have like each 4 character has like their own log, which is their story, and it's written like in a log, and I put it into the packet, and they can read more of the log online because all the characters go and file it away in the library that's at the academy, so they can go to a library and find their academy records. And I write all of those in first person. So
I love those. That is so very, I know, like in one of our, maybe it was break 1, I don't remember, we're everywhere. I remember there was a stream this weekend though where you said that it was like RPG was sort of your inspo point, and that is so very like collectible storytelling from video games and stuff, and I love finding those.
I love it, absolutely love it.
Chat, what are your favorite POVs to write in? We will be wrapping up in about 4 or 5 minutes because I have to set up for the next stream.
So we were asked what was our favorite to write in. What's your favorite to read in? Do you have a favorite?
Anything other than most second person. There are some second persons I'm okay with, like a series of unfortunate events. That writer, Lemony Snicket did such a phenomenal job writing the narrator as a character who respected my intelligence and integrity. That like, because here's my thing, I can be very confrontational, and I don't like being told how I feel or how I think. So, and a lot of second person like has a very like sassy or angsty narrator who will be like, oh well, like you wouldn't guess this, or like, and I'm like, bitch, yes I did, I guessed it 10 pages ago, how dare you? Or she's like, you wouldn't believe, and I'm like, you have no idea the depths of my gullibility, like don't play with me. So like but like I said, there have been some like second persons that I actually really greatly enjoy, but in general, that would be my least favorite to read in.
Same. I can easily read between third and first person. It doesn't bother me, even though I don't really prefer to write in first person, but I can read it just fine.
Same. That's so fascinating. Amanda says that's so fascinating. I've had to really push myself to write in third since first is my comfort zone, but I found it pretty refreshing. That's fair. Alice said, I write in third person past tense.
Something I've been trying for years to get into is what they call deep POV, and it's third person. So it's a little bit deeper than close or limited. Have we talked about this? I feel like we talked about this before.
We have. That's my bread and butter.
Okay.
Like that, that's always kind of my default perspective. I didn't realize that it had like I didn't realize it was different from third person limited until somebody like told me about third person deep, and I was like, wait a minute.
That's what I do.
That's what I do. So,
now when I was getting my MFA, my mentors told me over and over again, you need to learn more about character. You do great world building, great description. You need to get more into character. So I've like really delved into character, which part of that is part of the deep POVs. You really have to know your character to be able to write that. So
in order to write third person deep, I know I'm going to sound like I'm tooting my horn a little bit, but you have to like become a little bit of a narrative chameleon, because your voice needs to change enough to reflect the voice of the character that you're writing. Yeah. So I think that is probably one of the biggest differences between deep and limited. So,
and I think that when we were talking about being able to recognize the same author from book to book, that if they're doing deep POV, that's going to change just a bit.
Yeah. It was kind of, that's one of the reasons I like the flash fiction free-for-alls, is because like part of the, like after everybody reads and votes, and then when we will reveal whose is whose, but like chat and stuff, they get to try to guess. They're getting much better at guessing than when we first started, because they're like recognizing the tells in our different writing styles now. So sometimes with the flash fiction, I will try to purposely write outside my own style just to throw people off. except the last time, I don't remember if it was the last one or the one before last, where like, oh, it was 2 flash fictions ago, because the theme was essentially just a giant reference to this song that I really love. And so my flash fiction just became a homage to that song. There were so many references to that song, and everyone was like, this must be Sam. Only she would do this. And I'm like,
it does sound like fun, though.
It was so much fun. I really enjoyed that story. Lena said, for reading, depends on genre, horror and contemporary, first person. Oh, that is fair. Fantasy and mystery, third person. I feel like with horror, with first person, a lot of writers are really good at adding in the background crumbs too, so that you can still like figure things out yourself. You just have to understand that that's going to be a very unreliable narrator because they don't know what the fuck is going on. I write first person omniscient, and I think it hurt my editor's brain.
Omniscient is very hard.
Especially first person omniscient.
True.
I don't know how that would function. I am very curious to read it. For reference, I am one of said editors. Fair enough. We love it though. All right. Well, I need to go get set up for our next stream. So, Shannon, I realized that we did not do intros, so would you like to do an outro?
For those who don't know me, I'm Shannon. I write under the name of SC Houston, and I have a YouTube channel under the name of SC Houston where I do weekly writing sprints. I also have a podcast on there, the Self-Publishing Tips and Tricks podcast with Ben Pick from Running to Write YouTube channel, and Jamie from JM Chelly YouTube channel. And I'm also one of the 3 conference chairs for the AuthorTube Writing Conference, which you'll find a bunch of links for that on my YouTube channel because it takes place right here on YouTube, and it's next weekend. And we'd love for everyone to come. It's a free online conference, 3 days essentially of major collaboration of small and large channels coming together to talk all things writing and publishing. And yeah, that's me.
And I am Writing Mom's Methylene Acid on my channel. I talk about writer things, parent things, and writer-parent things. Excuse me. I host streams on Mondays at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, where sometimes we do write-ins, sometimes we do parties, sometimes we do the flash fiction free-for-all. It's generally a good time. It's my 1 day a week that I'm guaranteed adult socialization. So very important as a mom.
Yes.
And you will be seeing me on every stream for the rest of the night, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.